Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Mind Your Nest. I'm your host, Jennifer Rosen, and I love my guest who I have in studio today. She's number one, adorable, and number two, I was so excited to see what she was going to wear today, and she never disappoints. She is wearing the cutest outfit, a white t-shirt with a really cute necklace and these black bedazzled like disco kind of shorts and these amazing slingbacks that have, I don't know, like this silver embellishment at the toe. And I think that's one of the first things that I noticed about her when I met her, I think over a year ago. Emily Segal is my guest, and she is a co-owner of the Estate Settlers. And I met her after joining this organization called ESRN, which is Elder Service Resource Network, last year, because as everybody knows, I'm in the senior community, and somebody had recommended that I join this organization to network and meet other people that are, that serve the senior community. And I remember noticing Emily because of what she was wearing. I mean, I just love her outfits and your smile, your energy. I just love it. And I'm sure that you get angry and upset like all of us. However, your smile just is like sunshine. So without further ado, Emily Segal. Hi.
Hi, Jennifer. Thank you so much. You always put a smile on my face. You're
That's
so
so
sweet.
sweet.
You have the nicest things to say. And I love to see you at these events. And
Yeah, me too.
I really appreciate you having me today.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure. So Emily and I think it was last year, we met for coffee because I wanted to know a little bit more about her business. And she drives the cutest minivan that promotes her business. And I'd never heard of this company as well as what others that have similar companies do. So can you describe the Estate Settlers? But before you do that, where are you from? How'd you get to Florida and all the things?
Okay, sure. Let me start with, my husband and I met in high school. We've been married next month, actually in May, we'll be married 38 years.
Mazel tov.
Thank you. And we have two grown children that are both married and both have kids of their own. So we have two grandsons.
Who are adorable, of course.
I could eat them up, I swear. I know I'm always sharing them on Facebook. I think my kids don't even send me pictures anymore because they're like, Mom, enough. So we moved to Florida. It'll be 25 years ago. And that was really just on a whim. My husband used to be in the jewelry industry, and we owned trademarks, and we had a manufacturing company, and we moved down here because he could really do it from anywhere. And we just wanted a better life for the kids. It was cold up in New York, and we both grew up there. And we wanted something different for the kids. So we came down here. We actually had a jewelry store for about 5 years, and we just wanted an easier life for the boys. And I always had a thing for seniors. Even when I was a child, I guess I have an old soul.
Yeah.
You
Me
too?
Yeah, of course. Old fashioned,
Yeah.
old soul, all of it.
And one of my boys has that. And he's also an old soul.
Let me ask you something.
Sure.
Because I describe myself as an old soul, like old fashioned, that I would always say that I could have, should have, would have been born in my parents' or grandparents' generation. There's just something about the older population that is incredibly extraordinary. Not everybody obviously has, this incredible life that's filled with only joy. I mean, there's a lot of pain that they've gone through in their life. I've always felt that the conversations are some of the most interesting conversations I've ever had, listening to stories and all of that. So in your mind, how would you describe somebody that is an old soul? What does that mean to you?
I think just being empathetic and just really wanting to listen and help and educate and share memories.
Did you have a close relationship with your parents and your grandparents?
My grandparents were much older. I am the youngest of my siblings. And
how many siblings do you have?
I have two older siblings.
Okay.
My brother is 10 years older than me. and lives down here now. I'm so happy. And my sister is 6 years older than me, and she lives in California.
Oh, nice.
So my brother and sister-in-law moved down here about a year ago, and it's just been the best. I love family. I love being around family. I'm a people person. I had lunch with my brother yesterday, and we just hung out for like 3 or 4 hours just talking and actually going down memory lane.
I love that.
Yeah. And
I love that.
It's funny because I remember years ago, I said to my brother, I don't remember having memories with you in it, because he was so much older than me, and he went off to college. And we were talking earlier that he graduated off like your daughter.
Yeah.
And yet every time we talk about our memories, he's in my memory, like he's part of the story. So it's very funny. So I'm very close with him, and I'm very close with my sister as well. The three of us are very lucky to have a good relationship.
Did you have a close relationship with your parents and or grandparents, even though your parents were much older?
Not so much my grandparents, but I was very close with my parents, much closer with my mother. And then as I got older, I had a very good relationship with my father. Actually, I was their primary caregiver. They moved down here a year after I did, and they were going to move to California to be with my brother and my sister. And I said, I'll never see them grow old. I'll never see them again. They'll never learn to meet my children, and my kids will grow up without knowing my parents. And they decided to move down here, and it was the best. So I was their primary caregiver.
Wow.
And my mom passed away, I can't believe it's, I think 3 years now, from Alzheimer's. And it was a very difficult time. And then my father, who also took care of my mom, once she passed away, it was like he became helpless. And it was just so heartbreaking. And I had to step in and do everything. And he only wanted me. He didn't want my sister. He didn't want my brother. He only wanted me. I knew every single thing: medication, doctors, everything, illnesses, surgeries. I went through everything with him. And we became so close that it's really hard. It's really hard. And he passed away 2 years ago. But the reason that I know we're here to discuss how we started the business how I joined.
Right. But I think that the most important aspect to this is what you're talking about is your own personal experience with your family aging, and you're moving through, being a business owner from a consumer standpoint. You're selling something tangible that people can take home with them and admire on their fingers, on their wrists, on their ears, whatever, to something completely different. Your skill set transcends all of that, because we all have a heart, although not everybody does, and a soul. And, you can definitely tell that family really is important to you. And sometimes I think that's a foundational kind of, not a requirement, but that's in a lot of people who serve and help the senior community. I would imagine that being the primary caretaker for your mom and then your dad was challenging. How long after you had sold the jewelry store to when you switched and the estate settlers became your life?
So we had the jewelry store, I believe it was about 5 years. And the estate settlers started 15 years ago with my mother-in-law and her husband at the time. And he unfortunately passed away unexpectedly. And so my husband went in to help his mom get all the affairs in order and make sure everything was situated, and realized there was really a need for this. And we closed the store because of the recession, and just really people did not need jewelry.
Right.
So it was more of a want than a need. So he went in to help his mom, and I was working at another company doing customer service, running the customer service department for a bath and body company based in the UK. And I did traveling and did trade shows and things like that. And my mother-in-law actually was ready to retire. And she said during COVID, why don't you come and work for us? Because the company closed their distribution center here in the US. So I didn't have a job. So my mother-in-law says, come and be the face of the company and go out there and network, which is what her husband was doing, and work with us. And so that's exactly what I did. So my mother-in-law is now retired and on the golf course and tennis court, living life to the fullest.
Wait, I remember hearing that from you when we initially started talking. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah. So she is living life to the fullest.
Yeah.
And my husband Harvey and I own the company now. And we both love what we do. And we're living what our clients are going through. We understand what they're going through. And we have the resources to be able to help them. It's just wonderful. People don't realize there's a business that does what we do.
Right.
And what we do is work with families or children, older adults that have elderly parents who need to downsize, move into a senior community. And when I say senior community, I mean an assisted living, independent living, or memory care. And we need to sell off whatever we can. So we coordinate their move into the senior community. Once they're moved in, we then bring our buyers in that are liquidators and they resell in the market. And we try to sell anything and everything in the home down to unexpired food in the pantry. And people laugh when I say that, but it's true.
I heard you say that and I thought, well, why not?
Right?
Yeah.
Right. Clothing, linens, tchotchkes, you name it. Furniture, artwork, coins, jewelry. Because the money that's gotten from the sale of those items helps to offset some of the clean out costs. And when I say clean out, I mean leaving the home empty and broom clean for it to either go on the market, to be ready for walkthrough at closing, or for us to return the keys to the owner. And my husband's a realtor, so we can sell the home too. We work with wonderful teams in real estate that we could sell the home. And it's really just, it's full service.
Yeah.
One phone call and we take care of everything. If families that aren't local need or want any of the things in the home, we can coordinate shipping, packing and shipping to them too.
In the beginning, when your husband started working with your mother-in-law and then when you started working with her, had you known like all the intricacies of her business, of your in-laws' business, like down to the studs?
Such a great question. You're asking great questions.
Well, thank you. I do my best.
I did not. I actually learned as I went along because I used my resources. I didn't know what I was doing really, taking care of my parents. I mean, you learn as you go.
Yeah.
And you ask questions. And I'm not the type of person that will just take what somebody says and that's it. Right. I ask questions. I dig deep. And my husband kept saying, call this person, call that person for whatever I needed. And I reached out and I used the resources and the people that I know and I become friendly with and I refer to them. And if I can't help them, I'll refer somebody that can, whether it be an attorney or, a money manager or home health company, anything that a realtor, we do that. But I'm here to help. And I just love to help and I love to be there, but I didn't know.
You didn't know
before.
Had you ever, when the two of you decided, okay, we're doing this, and your prior work experience was now in the rearview mirror, were there any initial challenges? I mean, it sounds like the business model had already been set and was running pretty well. My question is, was this business more active up north, or did your in-laws start it in Florida?
So my in-laws started it here, and they started it as more of a move management company. And when we would try to explain what we did, because I would go out and do all the networking. My husband is more of the back end. He does more of the logistics and works with our guys, our crew. So when I would try to explain what it is that we did, people didn't understand it. So I went back and we discussed that we needed to kind of rebrand. And so now we're estate liquidators. We do estate liquidation, move coordination, and total property clean out. We're not move managers.
Right.
We're not movers. I can refer you to my mover. I can take care of it. I can oversee it. I can do everything.
Yep.
But I'm not a mover.
Right.
So I'm an estate liquidator and a property clean out.
When you were rebranding, did the logo and the name and all of the details of what your in-laws did, was that as prominent as, let's say, your car? That is the best advertisement, so clear and concise, and you do get an understanding if you're at a stoplight or, you see your car in the parking lot, exactly what you do, which, as you described, is important to know. So people wouldn't look at the van and be like, well, I don't know what the heck this is. It's a cute van, and I love the lamination. I don't know how you describe that.
Right.
But it's very obvious for somebody, I think, to look at the car and be like, oh, okay, I think I know somebody, or I think I might need this down the line, and
Right.
let me give them a call. Was it challenging to rebrand and then kind of be like, hi, we're here, and start networking?
Not really. Our logo actually changed. We're on the third logo, but this is our final logo. We love it. It's working, and we're not changing anything. Originally, the logo had clouds behind it, and it just, to me, it sounded and looked like death. It just wasn't
uplifting and helpful.
It just
Right.
looked like this was the end of it, the road for you. And so I knew that we had to change. But the second logo was with the cartoon and the moving truck, and I think that's where people got the idea that we were movers, which we're not. So basically now we have a different logo, and people are it's just incredible how it took off. The phones are ringing, and it's insane. And having the truck, people will call and say, I just drove by your truck,
Right.
and I really want to learn about your service. My in-laws are looking to move into a senior community, and we need to sell off and clean out and sell their home and use your service. And another thing is, if you don't need my service, you might know somebody that does.
Yeah.
And you might need it down the road.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So can you explain to me when somebody calls you and says, Emily, we'd love to use your service, here's the situation, and the adult children, or whoever is the closest to the seniors that need to, move on, what's a typical conversation that you have with somebody inquiring about your services?
Sure. So normally we work with the adult children. And so they'll call and tell me the situation. Either their parents have passed away and they have 40, 50 years of stuff in their home. They've lived there for so many years and they don't know what to do. So I say to them, we offer a free consultation. So my husband will go out and meet with them at the home. If they aren't local, if there's a lockbox or if there's a way that we can get in, my husband will FaceTime with them and just go through the home, see if he thinks our buyers would have interest in any of the items. And he would give them an idea of how much the clean out cost would be. And then after that, should they decide to hire us, they sign the agreement and it's a process. So first, let's say the situation is that they've passed away, so nobody's in the home. We'll bring our buyers in, and we work with different levels of buyers, different level of furniture buyers, auctioneers, all different types of people, tchotchke buyers, like I said.
Wait, there's such a thing as a tchotchke buyer?
Well, no, she's called a smalls buyer. I call it a tchotchke buyer.
I love it.
You would understand what I mean.
Of course I would.
She's actually a smalls buyer.
Oh my God, that's so funny. I don't know. I think it sounds cute, to be a tchotchke buyer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we bring them in at different times. We don't bring them in all at one time. We also know that down here in Florida, most HOAs, homeowners associations, don't allow estate sales, and we don't do estate sales.
Right.
We don't bring strangers through the home. We don't run an ad in the paper or put an ad online and bring strangers walking through the home. These are buyers that we've worked with for 15 years since our business started, and they'll come in by appointment only, make a cash offer on anything and everything, like I said, down to unexpired food in the pantry.
Yep.
And they'll either take the items that day or they might have to come back another day. We negotiate as high as we can, and then we go back to our client and say, this was the offer, and do you accept? And they usually do accept.
Right, because they're not yes, they'd like to get as much money as possible, but
Right.
the goal is to move this along.
Right, move it along, clean it out so that they don't have to come in, and we take the stress and anxiety off of it. It's so emotional.
I'm sure, especially, when you're talking about people that have lived in their home for that long, it
Right.
is. I mean, I remember when, completely different, but when my childhood home sold, and I remember my older brother, I believe, went by himself. We didn't know. the house had already been cleaned out and everything. And he walked through the whole house and I think had a recorder and recorded like all these different memories, that he had in the home. And I thought that probably was a really difficult thing to do. When you start this process, do you have like items together so that the buyers that come in can look at, let's say, tchotchkes all at once? Or do you leave the house as is and then people go throughout the rooms and the cabinets and everything?
Right. So we leave everything as it is. We say to the family, don't clean anything, just no judgment whatsoever.
Right.
We've worked in hoarding situations. We've worked where there hasn't been electricity in the home and there's just mold and bugs and things and rodents and we've worked in every situation.
Wow.
And so we just say don't clean anything, don't throw anything out, don't give anything away, don't put anything in bags or boxes, because our buyers will come in and they go through the closets, the cabinets, the drawers.
Wow.
They'll go through everything. So everything needs to be seen. Don't put anything away. People think that they're trying to help us by bringing a cleaning crew in, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
There's no judgment at all.
Yeah. Oh, just
Please
like,
don't clean.
my mom was like, please clean up your room. Lastania's coming tomorrow.
Exactly.
I'm like,
I know. My mother would say, Elizabeth is coming. It's Tuesday. What am I cleaning
I
if
said,
she's going to...
God, we don't want them to really know.
Right.
The house looks like. So I'd be like, okay, everything under the bed.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was crazy. Okay. So you bring up a really good point as it relates to the condition of the house in a hoarding situation with things that naturally happen in that home, like you were saying, bugs and mold and all of those. Do you go through and address those situations before your buyers come in, or do you literally not touch anything and they come in with all those conditions?
They come in with those conditions.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. And then what we do is once the buyers have bought what they want and we've shipped items to family that need to be shipped, we then bring our crew in and we clean out the home and leave it empty.
Got it.
We'll empty the refrigerator, but we're not going to sanitize the refrigerator.
Okay.
And trust me, I've learned when I've gone into a home, don't open the refrigerator.
Right. Oh, I'm sure.
Do not, because it's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, the situations that we've come across. So I don't open the refrigerator. I leave that for the crew.
Have you ever come across, and I'm sure you have, number one, where the adult children want nothing to do with this? Because as we all know, and as I've talked about before, there are families that are estranged or don't talk to each other or have nothing to do with each other or have built up animus over the years because of what their relationship was. Not everybody lives the Norman Rockwell life, from birth to death. So what's your experience been when you would like to get the family involved, or if somebody that is a non-family member reaches out to you and says, can you help us? Do you want to get in touch with the family first to let them know what's happening?
Well, what we do is we're usually contacted by the children,
Okay,
or the actual senior.
got it. Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's good.
That's great. If there are multiple children, have there ever been disagreements and arguments? And obviously tensions are high, I would imagine, for some people.
Right.
This is their heart is breaking, and then some people are more stoic with this process. Have you ever come across disagreements with family members?
We have, and that's why we like to, even though we like to basically work with the person that has power of attorney.
Okay.
And
That's great.
speaking with one voice.
Yep.
It's really important, because one might say, we don't want this. The other might say, yes, we need to keep it. Or no, I don't want to take that much money. I want more money.
Yep.
But there really isn't a big resale value in pre-owned items.
Right.
There's a lot of emotions involved.
Yes.
You have to try to explain that to the family.
Yeah, nobody wants
it. Okay.
I agree with you. Nobody wants your parents or grandparents' china.
Right.
And I see posts about that all the time in these, marketplace groups. And that's really the truth. And I remember when my grandparents passed, and then my mom's like, are you sure you don't want these? Are you sure? Are you sure you're sure? I'm like, yeah, I don't. And it is true, like they're only things. And there is an emotional connection to things, but it can't be everything.
Right.
It's an emotional connection.
Right.
Okay, so that's very important to know, is that you deal with the person that's power of attorney. And what happens if the family had not, because there are a lot of older people, even, in what I do, that I've come across that don't have power of attorneys. They don't have an advance directive. They don't have any of those important documents in place. And that's unfortunate, especially as they're getting older and older, they need it even more. Have you come across families that don't have that in place and they're very frazzled and don't know what to do?
Yeah, but we try to make the best of it. I mean, we basically try to work with one person. We can't listen to everybody because there's so many different opinions and voices. We have to really just work with the one person.
Yep.
I mean, we work together as a team with the family, but they have to speak with one voice.
Has that ever been problematic during any of your conversations? And do you have those conversations, or does Harvey?
That's left really to my husband.
Oh, good.
So I don't really deal with that.
That's okay. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great. So once everything is decided, then how does that process start? Does that then go to you, or do you and Harvey work together to start the process for this client?
Okay. So once I finish up with them and make the appointment for my husband to go meet with them for their consultation, he basically takes it from there. So
Okay.
I set up the appointments and get all the information, put everything in our calendar, and he goes to the appointment and he takes it from there.
And
I
he
do
goes
the-
by himself to do
Yeah.
like the initial assessment?
Yes, he'll go
Okay.
by himself. Sometimes I'll go with him, but most of the time he goes himself. He has to map out the appointments throughout the day, whether it's because we service North Broward up to Jupiter. So
Okay.
he's not going up to Jupiter and then down to Broward
Right.
and then back up to Palm Beach Gardens.
That's a huge map.
yeah.
I think it's wonderful. Have there ever been cleanouts that you don't accept? Or, not cleanouts, but, are there projects or clients that for whatever reason aren't match or aren't a fit?
Actually, yes, absolutely. I do the initial assessment on the phone with them. And I am very honest. And I'll say to a client, I don't think it's beneficial. It's not cost effective for you to hire me. I could take your money,
Right.
but I don't want to take your money if it's not going to be beneficial to you. So we've turned down jobs. I'm not going to do that. I have to live with myself and my husband. We have to look in the mirror.
Right.
And we're not going to take every job that comes along, not because it's too small or too big or too complicated, but if it doesn't make sense for the family, we're not going to do it.
What are one of the variables that when you're having the conversation that it's just not going to work?
Well, if they want us to just have our buyers come in to purchase items, it wouldn't be cost effective.
Got it.
The reason we offer our buyers to come in to purchase the items is to help to offset some of the clean out cost. So it'll bring down the clean out cost
Right.
a bit. Because of our pricing structure, it wouldn't make sense to hire me to come in to purchase, your dining room table, which you might have paid $10,000 for with 8 or 10 dining room chairs that maybe I can get you $200 for
Right.
the whole entire thing. And then with my pricing structure, you're still going to owe me money. So
Right.
I don't want to do it because I don't think it's right.
Oh,
I don't think
agree.
it's right ethically to just take any job. If I'm not the right fit, I would offer suggestions on who to call or what to do, where to go. And once our things are purchased in the home, once that's done, we then try to donate whatever's left in the home. And then after that, we clean it out.
Oh, got it.
So we do work with donation companies too.
And do you utilize the same donation companies, or does it depend on what items are left after the sale?
It really depends. And the donation companies are really particular about what they take. We have to send pictures. We have to make sure that it's in good condition. They don't just take anything.
I know.
And they won't just come just to come. It has to be the right fit for them, for their organization, and
Right,
it has to be in
because-
good condition.
Yeah, because somebody's looking for something like
Right.
that, and that's the reason why. Like, I love going to Rehome or Faith Farm or any of these consignment or Goodwills, and I agree. Like, you wouldn't want to give them anything that maybe like you wouldn't buy yourself in a way, or something that's completely disheveled.
Right.
Like, why would anybody want this?
Right. So they won't take that.
And then, so once you do that, do you have to coordinate with actually cleaning everything out, if there's still large items left in the home,
Yeah.
that obviously wouldn't be picked up by, the sanitation department.
So what we do is have a crew that does all of our clean outs.
Oh, great.
So if they have to rent a dumpster, then we bring a dumpster in. It's not often that we need to do that. It
Right.
really depends on the job, but they just fill up their truck and they go to the dump and then they come back. They might have to do it 2 or 3 times. It really depends. But we have a crew that does everything. You don't have to worry. You never have to step foot in the home. We work through FaceTime and texting. We are in constant communication with our clients.
Yeah, I remember you telling
Yeah.
me that, like, sometimes you and Harvey are texting at the same time
Yes.
to the same client.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I truly believe, and since I came from a customer service background and we had our retail jewelry store, customer service is key. It's what helps your business grow. It's word of mouth. And you want to develop a relationship with your clients. And I believe that customer service is super key, like number one,
it
and
is.
communication.
Absolutely.
And that's what we pride ourselves on.
Have you ever found personally when the clean out is completed or at any step of the process, have you ever felt emotionally spent or drained or emotional
Yes.
during any point in the process? Because I would imagine because of who you are, your heart, your soul, like just your nature, I would imagine because of your deep connection to family and your respect and admiration for all of that, I would imagine like sometimes it might be hard not to.
It's very hard. We go into a house when we first start and you're just walking around this home and it has so many memories. Like there was a family that lived there and there's memories and things that people accumulated over the years. And sometimes the family doesn't want anything. They don't even want pictures. And I'll say, I'll take the pictures. And I don't even know these people. It's so sad
Yeah.
that sometimes the kids come in and say, I don't want anything. Just you take care of it. But it is very emotional. Some days it's more draining than others. It's sad. It could become very sad and depressing. But you have to kind of stand back and disassociate because we're here to help them and so that they don't have to deal with it.
I would say that that's something that I have learned over the years through not only my professional career, but my personal experience with my family growing up, as well as my ex-husband and my children, that I'm really good at tabling my emotion and putting them aside and then just focusing on the business at hand. Because, I mean, we're all humans. We all have emotions, some more than none. I have found that depending on who my client is and whose home I'm going to, I have either a visceral reaction when I leave or later that night or the next day or something like that. And it just reminds me of how grateful I have been in my life with my families and all those things, and that I don't feel alone, because sometimes I feel like my heart is outside of my chest in, feeling for some of my clients.
Right. You wear your heart on your sleeve.
Yeah,
So
that
do I.
they're by themselves.
Right.
That they don't have anyone.
Right.
And I remember somebody saying to me the other day with a client that I have who's been in the beginning stages of dementia, and it's a hoarding situation, and I was keeping them posted. It was a friend who referred me to this client, and he's very stoic. And I understand that, and we're having, this conversation about the facts and all those things. I do think it's different when you're talking to somebody that has not stepped into that home because they have no emotional connection or they didn't see the whole house. Sometimes it's like a blessing and a curse that we believe that service is so important, and treating our clients with dignity and respect and
Absolutely.
compassion and understanding and all of those things, regardless of their mental state or where they are in their life.
Yeah. We've gone into homes where the coffee cup is sitting on the coffee table or on the counter, and let's say the checkbook is open, the pen is there, and the coffee's evaporated a little bit. And it's like they went to the hospital and they never came back.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
real life.
Yes.
And it's so sad. And then if they have children that don't want to be involved, or they don't have children, or the children don't live locally, so they don't know what's going on.
Right.
We had a client that was estranged from her father, and he was living in a hoarding situation with no electricity for, I don't know, maybe a year. And there was a hole in the roof and the water was coming in. You can literally see the sunshine through the ceiling and the roof. And the daughter had no idea that he was living like this.
Right.
And she actually somehow, I don't know if a neighbor or somebody else contacted her, and she contacted us. But when she came down and saw, she obviously moved him into a memory care community, and we went in and took care of everything. But a lot of times families don't know what their parents are living like.
Right.
They talk to them on the phone and they say, oh yeah, everything's great. Everything's great.
Yeah.
And then they come down for a holiday or a long weekend and they're like, nah, this isn't great. There's no food, and you haven't bathed, and there's trash.
Yeah. You had said something, about contacting family members, and, I'd asked if you ever had a client that, didn't have family, but you needed to, you were in touch with, let's say, a friend of the clients that you started working with. And I remember what I was going to say about my client. And it was that she doesn't have anybody else. And my client, her husband died many years ago. Her older brother's 88. She has an older brother that's maybe 82 or 83. She's 75. And I remember somebody saying to me, well, everybody has somebody. She has to have somebody. She has to have friends. She has to. And the truth is that is not true, especially, I believe, when you're either disconnected or your mental acuity and your health start declining. And as you said, if people don't see the decline or aren't in regular physical connection with that person, hearing on the phone, oh yeah, everything's fine. Maybe you can't pick up the dementia. Maybe you can't pick up that there's really a problem. You can't dispute it once you walk into that home.
Right.
And it's just, okay, well, what can I do to help? How can I help this person?
So it reminds me, we work with guardians, and we had a guardianship case where this woman did not have family. Her husband passed away. She was from Argentina, living in Boynton, and she had, I believe, a niece, but I don't think she was in contact with this person. So she was under guardianship, and she had some dementia that was beginning, and she needed to go into a memory care community. And we were brought in through the guardian to find her social security number, not only because they wanted to get her on Medicaid, so they needed to find that, and also come in, sell everything and clean it out because she needed money to go into a community. And she had a neighbor that exploited her. This person came in and just took money from her and exploited her. So not only did we have to come in to do our job, but then, the guardians had to take care of all the legal actions because of this man who was exploiting her and stealing from her.
Oh yeah,
And
it's horrible.
it's horrible what happens. What can happen.
Yeah, and the seniors are
Gullible. They don't know.
Yeah, and
they trust people.
Right. And I think that it's, especially when you're alone, like we described, and you don't have anybody, it's hard to decipher what's real and what's not, because you think every text message, every email is real, and it must be real, otherwise I wouldn't be getting it.
Right.
And that is devastating.
Yeah.
This client of mine has been taken so many times, and she refuses to continue to block the numbers because she believes, that there's a new car is going to be delivered.
Right.
Emily, I don't know what more to say. Everybody knows that I hold you in such high regard, really.
You're so sweet.
All right. So I want you to tell everybody where they could find you, and at what point in the process should people contact you, whether it's premature or not. What's the first step?
Okay. Well, first, I also want to just add that we work with senior communities. If the parents have passed away, if the resident passed away, or the children want them moving to be closer to them, we also work with the senior community to help clean out the apartment and return the keys back to them.
Do you do the same thing if they're in memory care, I mean, I know the levels change once you get into the system. If you are at the end and you are in the hospital or you're in hospice, obviously the need is still there because they still have their original home or belongings or whatnot. So it doesn't really matter what phase of a physical decline that they're in, you can always help.
We can always help.
Okay.
I actually had somebody, he just wanted to start to get his affairs in order. He's only in his 70s and he's like, I don't know how much longer I have and I'm healthy now, but I'm trying to get my affairs in order. I don't have family, so I want to...
You want to be prepared.
He wants to be proactive rather than having to be reactive, which is important.
Yeah.
And so my husband went and met with him, and so hopefully he won't become a client for a very long time.
Right.
A lot of times people wait till their parents are either on hospice or are ill and they're in the hospital, but there really isn't any definite times.
Right.
I get phone calls where somebody passed away a year ago and they're finally ready to face it.
Yeah.
I get calls where the family, they call for information. I give them the information and they say, oh, we're just going to do it ourselves. And then I get another call from them a few weeks later saying, we hit a brick wall. We do need you to come in and, we need your help. So, and we're here to help.
Yep.
We ask for 2 weeks because I just want to let you know, we do ask for 2 weeks to get the process started and finished. It doesn't usually take that long.
Is that 2 weeks from the time that Harvey comes to do an assessment, or is that 2 weeks from the initial phone call?
2 weeks from actually starting the job. So Harvey could go on to a consult and then we might not get an agreement signed for a couple of weeks, a month, because the family wasn't ready yet. So really from once we start bringing our buyers in till the end, it's usually 2 weeks. So if there's a closing date, let's say they sold the house and there's a closing date, we come in at least 2 to 3 weeks before, because obviously we can't go in once the home is closed.
Right. All right. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Okay. So you can find me. My website is theestatesettlers.com. My email is emily@theestatesettlers.com. The phone number is 561-207-7654. I'm at extension 3, or just any extension. It'll usually get to me at some point. I'm happy to help. You can also see us on Facebook under The Estate Settlers. Instagram, it's Emily B. Segal. And I really try to post every day on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn every day but Sunday. And I send out emails a couple of times a month. And we're here to help. We understand what you guys are going through. So
I think what you do is beyond unbelievable and helpful. And people who have the opportunity to use your services, I know they're in incredible hands.
Thank you.
And because it is an enormous task. And like you said, some people believe that they can handle it. And at some point, maybe they can, depending on maybe the size of the house or the contents or whatever the situation. It's so helpful. I always believe that people that work with the seniors, as we discussed, we want to help.
Yeah.
We want to be there to support. We want to do whatever we can to assist not only our client, but the family members to ensure that somebody is helping, somebody is taken care of, somebody is there.
they need an advocate.
Completely.
Absolutely.
Yep.
That is my big word is advocate.
I believe that sometimes an objective advocate is the best advocate you could have because you know that their primary want and need is to focus on their client and help their client.
Right.
And they're not in it for any other reason other than to make sure that their client is taken care of.
Taken care of with dignity and respect.
Consideration and all of those things, regardless of what their personal situation is. Some people think, it's based on income, what kind of house you live in or all these material things, and it's really not. I know that people deserve dignity, and we're all put here on this earth, and if we can't be a human being to another human being and have understanding and compassion, I don't know, then I'm sorry for them because you get more out of my heart, feels even more full when I know that I have helped somebody who can't help themselves. It's one of the biggest blessings, really, and it's, an important way that I go through my day.
I agree with you.
All right, everybody. So Emily's information is going to be in the show notes. And if you ever need her or you want to get a consult, I highly recommend that you contact her because her and her husband are doing a wonderful thing with their business, the Estate Settlers. All right, everybody. It's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining me and listening to Emily and her talk about her amazing company. I hope you all have a great rest of the day. And don't forget to mind your nest.